All right, what's up, everybody? Mr. Trummer here to talk you through how to do the quadratic formula. So we've already learned two different methods on how to solve for these with graphing as well as factoring. But today, we're going to learn about a formula that will work for every single situation. So buckle up, pay attention, and make sure you understand this formula front to back by the time we're finished here. So first and foremost, the thing we need to understand is that whenever we are looking at a quadratic, it always comes in standard form right now. And if it's not in standard form, you want to put it in standard form, in which ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So that's important because when we go into our actual quadratic formula, you will see, as I have highlighted here, that the B's and the A's and the C's all line up for a particular spot. So let's talk through this real quick and what this means. So we have our quadratic formula. When we're solving for x is equal to the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And that is a mouthful, but I promise you, if you do it to a little jingle like Pop Goes the Weasel, it makes it a whole lot easier. Ready? X is equal to opposite b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right, guys. I just won $10 for making sure I put that in our video here. So, all right, so we've got the quadratic formula, and you'll notice the first thing that looks a little different to you is that plus or minus, and that's okay. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But with this formula, we can use it for any quadratic, and so we will do an example right here, number 1, together. So first off, I'm going to label each of these terms in my first quadratic here. So I told you the standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c. So if you look here, my a in this instance is going to be 2. My b is going to be a -9 because that sign does make a difference. And my c will be this positive 4. All right, so if we go in to actually solve for x, it looks a little something like this. We have x is equal to opposite of b. So I like to put these in parentheses like so. So my b is -9. So I put that negative out front and then -9 inside my parentheses, plus or minus the square root of -9, because that's my b again, squared, minus 4, and then my a, which is 2, and my c, which is 4. And all of this over top of 2 times a, which again, my a is 4. All right, so let me color code these real quick just so we have a full understanding of where each of these numbers come from. So this -9 is right here as my b, and you see that b twice. My a is going to be that 2, so we see the 2 just, I'm sorry, I screwed up on my thing down here. We see the 2 here, and then you also see the 2 down here. I made the mistake of putting the 4 in. That was c. This should, of course, be 2. And then last but not least, we have that c, which shows up just once in my formula. In this case, it was 4, okay? So we have everything in place, and at this point, it just becomes doing the math itself, all right? So I'm going to, let's do a different color here. Let's make it, let's go pink, so it stands out, and it pops. All right, so we've got x is equal to, and we said the opposite of b. Well, in this case, the b was -9, so the opposite of that would be a +9. And then we have plus or minus, and that's still going to stay there. That's okay. And we're going to put in inside the square root all of that stuff that we see there. So we've got -9 squared minus 4 times 2 times 4. Now, I like to use Desmos to do this work. The most important thing is ensuring that that negative is going to be squared. So -9 times -9 is 81. And then 4 times 2 times 4 is going to ultimately be 32. So we are taking 81 minus 32 and finding ourselves at 49. So underneath that square root is going to be 49. And all of that is over 2 times 2, which we all know to be 4. Okay, now is when we discuss what this plus and minus nonsense is, okay? So if you think back to all of the different solutions that we've had for all of our quadratic formulas or our quadratic equations, in a lot of instances, we've had 2 different equations. Well, one of those is going to be found when we add that square root of 49, and the other one will be found when we subtract it. So what I mean by that is we're going to come right over here, and I'm going to say x is equal to 9 plus the square root of 49 over 4. And then my second one is going to be x is equal to 9 minus the square root of 49 over 4. Okay, so that's the only difference, is that we are taking that plus and that minus, and at this point, whoop, little technical difficulties. At this point, we are separating them out into two different solutions, okay? So now let's just do the math. We've got 9 plus square root of 49. Hopefully we understand what the square root of 49 is. If we don't, you can always, again, put it into Desmos. So the square root of 49 is 7 over 4. So 9 plus 7 is 16. So I get x is equal to 16 over 4. And last but not least, simplifying that, x is equal to 4. So one of my solutions is x equals 4. Now I find my second by doing the same thing, but with that negative. So it's going to be x is equal to 9 minus 7 over 4. X is equal to 2 over 4. And last but not least, x is equal to 1/2 as my simplified solution. All right, so now we've got two solutions for x, and this can always be done or always be used for any quadratic equation we put in front of you. As long as it's in standard form, the quadratic formula, no matter what our three A, B, and C's are, will always work for you. So now you've got the foundation on how to use a quadratic formula. It's your turn now to practice. You've got your your CAMI assignment that will be due at the end of the day today. Best of luck. Ask your teachers if you need help.